Did you push the red button or the green button?
All right, check everybody. All right, it looks like we're golden now. This is IRATE Prostate. It's a cyberspace cadets. Now we're rolling. Okay. We had a little weirdness with the intro. I want to run that again. This is IRATE Mondays. We're good. We pushed the green button and now it's green. All right, check everybody. All right. It looks like we are going live now. So we are definitely live, and all the audio looks good. As a matter of fact, I just wanted to show everybody that opening because it's so appropriate, and I do want to apologize for the mix-up there. Had some problems with my other microphone, and destroyed 2 mic stands. And so I'm on the headset right now, and I'm not sure if OBS was recognizing the headset, and enough of that shit. Anyway, welcome everybody. In the studio with me tonight, I've got the lovely Vetran Mountainman.
Hey everyone.
The awesome voice of Burnside.
Greetings, motherfuckers. Beware the Romfi.
And last but not least, the mouth of New York, Scooby 331.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
All right. Now, since we got the bullshit out of the way, let's hang back and talk about stuff. All right.
Well, so I guess the big question is, did anybody see the announcement right before we started?
What announcement?
So, President Trump announced his Supreme Court Justice nomination.
Nice.
All right.
And the nominee is Brett Kavanaugh, a jurist who's been working in D.C.'s Court of Appeals in New York. He also worked on the Clinton case during the 90s.
Cool.
Wow. So, okay. So so do we know how, what kind of decisions he's written? Is there any word out? Because I don't even recognize that name. That was in the list that I was looking at. This must have been one of those like, gotcha moments, because I think people were expecting another choice.
Well, I was expecting Amy, but Brett actually has been a staunch originalist and very much a hardline constitutional.
Fantastic.
So now he is a real constitutional. So he tends to appear very liberal on personal choices, but very conservative on size of government and government control. Mm-hmm. In that he doesn't want much. So he's kind of an ideal choice, in my opinion. Although I would have liked to have seen another really, really, really good choice. And I wanted to see her go up there because I wanted to see the Democrats' heads implode.
Indeed.
Because could you imagine what those Democrat senators would have to do to even attempt to stall her appointment?
Man.
It's a perfect. It would change the narrative.
And it's a perfect opportunity. You know, Kennedy was very wise in choosing this point in time to do that, because you know it's got the the Democrats. He's got them kind of backed in a corner on this thing, man. And it's like they're all going to be thinking about the midterms now. You know, if I do this, what's going to happen? You know, so it's going to be typical. And I've got something for the Democrats whose typical response is something like this. But anyway, how about this? All right.
Hey.
Oh, well, shoot. So, and I see, did Tara creep in?
I creeped in.
Hey, Tara. Say hey to everybody.
Hello. Still not feeling the greatest.
What's up? What's the matter?
Infection.
The ear infections.
Oh, dude.
Sorry to hear that. You able to at least keep your balance?
It's because it's a double ear infection. It's not really affecting anything except for giving me a fever and bad sinus drainage.
That's terrible.
Well, you got lucky then. I've had ear
Balls.
infections that affected my balance.
Into getting doubles.
That sucks.
Kids that had the tubes in the ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my niece had that.
They still did it until my roommate went to the doctor with her kid and was like, so did the tubes come out? I'm like, shit, they still do that?
Me personally, I used to get swimmer's ear so bad when I was a kid, my ears would bleed.
I swear I thought mine were gonna bleed when too deep that one time. Like my ears were about to pop. Like the drums were gonna pop out of my head.
I looked out, my ears themselves, like the eardrums, all the stuff that you hear with, was the only thing that didn't get infected. Ears got so inflamed that the capillaries actually burst because of how much my ears swelled up. Yeah. Begging my father to shoot me. I was in such agony.
Man, that's really bad.
So, is there any kind of like antibiotic or something that you can?
They have me on amoxicillin.
My parents were... Oh, I thought you were asking about me.
Both. What about
My
you?
parents were extremely ignorant. My mother still is. It was cheaper for them to use bleach instead of shock in the pool.
Oh.
What happens when, and parents are illegals without educations, the offspring are just as stupid. That's what made me a man of science. I got sick of hearing about the little people in the sky.
Little people in the sky don't do much for you.
Aggravate me.
It is what it is, man.
Just not. I don't know. I've been dealing with these people since the 4th of July, and it just gets under my skin.
I don't blame you.
I'm derailing things because I'm in a mood. Tara, I'm sorry. You were saying something about the antibiotics you're taking?
Yeah, it's actually delayed my cycle, and well, let's just say I can't stay out the bathroom.
Poor thing.
Dude, that happened to Uzi one time, and we had to use rubbers for like a whole month and a half before. Yeah, so that can definitely. Yeah, we had just got married too. Yeah, that was the honeymoon. Yep. Had to use condoms on our own honeymoon. Oh, and more information nobody needed to know.
Well, that is what it is, man. It's just a part of life.
Yep. So, and I want to say hi to Johnny Hellcat, Death Harukin, and Goat Man. You know, it's not a stream unless Goat Man pops in.
Hey, Goat Man.
Greetings.
What up, dope man?
So, does anybody have anything they want that they was wanting to bring in tonight and talk about?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was watching a whole bunch of stuff all day from Campus Reform and a lot of other places about people already wigging out about Trump's nomination.
Oh, really?
Even before it was made.
Damn.
Apparently the mainstream media had been railroading the idea that Roe v. Wade was going to be overturned
Right.
all week. even though that's not likely to have happened and still isn't likely to happen.
No.
So, but yeah, apparently people all over the city of New York thought that he had already announced a nomination and that the guy was a Nazi and was going to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Of course.
You know, this is why I say the rest of the country needs to be thankful. Parts. I want you to be aware of that.
Hey, Florida takes the retards too, unfortunately.
Oh my God. He really thought he elected a Nazi. These people.
Yep.
They're blithering idiots. I mean, no matter what he does, they're gonna bitch, whine, and fucking complain.
I'm just hoping that Manhattan goes Jonestown.
You talking mass cyanide in the mass potassium chloride in the streets?
Dude.
You'll go past every Starbucks and they will be passed out on the floor.
Oh,
Cool.
Man.
That's so depressing that they're that stupid.
Yeah, it really is.
I can't understand how the fuck did this happen in our universities? I mean, did we hire all of these professors at one shot? I mean, didn't anyone notice that the curriculum was changing?
So what happened, man, was right about the fall of the Weimar Republic, we had a bunch of communists come in from Germany.
Right.
Including Marcuse, Wolfgang, Storn, and several others. Most of them went to major universities like Columbia, Berkeley, University of California, Yale, and most of them went into the humanities department. That's why we had the huge free speech rebellion in Berkeley in the 1960s. That was because of a critique on tolerance written by Marcuse and some of his cohorts. This is what's called the Frankfurt School of Communism.
Right.
I did a video on it about a year ago. You can actually find the whole critique online on Marcuse's website. Because there's actually a couple of commies that maintain his website and maintain all of his writing publicly available.
Of course. Why am I not surprised?
But it is some out there stuff. And his whole premise was that you have to be intolerant of those that don't think exactly like you in order to create a new society of tolerance. Now, the shorthand for this critique is called No Free Speech for Nazi.
Fuck.
Holy Christ. It's back.
So, where was I? Okay, yes. Marcuse students in Berkeley to create the free speech protests in order to push his critique of pure tolerance back in the 1960s to early 70s. And it's what caused the Alinsky movement, and it caused the intersectional movement and the critical race theory movement.
So you're telling me that this whole fuck story that they invented literally spurred like this whole terrorist shit that's been going on since then with Weather Underground and what have you?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it doesn't
Dude, I
surprise
am
me.
sending you a decent phone and headsets.
But yeah, Burnside, pretty much all of this comes from the Frankfurt communists that came to the United States. Fall of the Weimar Republic happened and Nazi Germany started.
Well, that makes me double down on my original claim then.
Which is?
If you want to prevent World War II and all that shit, you have to change the outcome of World War One.
Yep. You would have, because World War One literally set up everything to happen in the Weimar Republic that happened to create World War II. Now, truth be told, you could probably fix the whole thing by fixing the Treaty of Versailles.
Exactly.
But you could also fix the whole thing by possibly interrupting it about 2 years before the United States got involved. With a coordinated strike.
Here's basically how I nutshelled it. If either they would have gone with a not retarded variation of the Schlieffen Plan or something better, and not invaded Belgium, and if they could have either fought until either victory or a ceasefire treaty of some kind or another, like an armistice, then it could have really subverted the whole lot of the bullshit. Because literally, the Treaty of Versailles is what caused the whole collapse and the rest of this stupid shit to happen.
It did. It did.
You know, it's interesting trying to explain this stuff to somebody that doesn't know history, because nobody understands exactly what happened at the end of World War War One, that exactly created the conditions that led to World War II. You know.
Oh gosh, the Treaty of Versailles made Germany responsible, forced them to pay reparations.
Right, and were they really responsible? No, you know, they were part of the puzzle, right?
True, but they held the most power out of those that had kind of kicked the whole thing off.
Right, and they had the most money,
yeah,
to some degree.
Because I mean, Serbia and Liechtenstein and Slovenia had nothing,
right,
and they were part of that same alliance.
Right.
And so, as well as the Ottoman Turks, I mean, you know, what could you get out of them? They had nothing. They barely had the clothes on their back and enough money to maintain their railroads. But Germany was powerful at the time.
Yep, and they had the Jack.
And they were a hard power in Europe and could likely cause more problems in the future, and that's why they were targeted so much. But yeah, that treaty is what caused World War II. If they hadn't tried to force Germany to pay for everything, it's entirely possible that the socialists and the Nazis would not have gained as much power, because the population wouldn't have been as disenfranchised with the rest of Europe, and World War II would have never happened.
Right. There's so many bitter people, you know, because, I mean, and they also blame it, of course, for the worldwide, you know, economic collapse that, you know, what we called, you know, the Great Depression. It was just, you know, there was just what happened in the United States was just part of a whole process that happened pretty much worldwide. And I personally, I think it was because of the Soviet Union's creation that happened. You know, it was. Go ahead.
I don't know about that, man, because the Soviet Union actually was created before World War I kicked off. Because you had the Soviet revolt going on
Right.
right as World War One.
Right. Well, yeah, but see, like you know, the Holodomor and all of those, all of that stuff that Stalin was pushing, I mean, led to serious economic decay because you know, yeah, he was killing people that weren't cooperating, but he was also killing farmers, and people that could have actually, it's like dominoes. That's kind of the way I look at it, and it was this whole domino effect that collapsed, and I put it on their shoulders. I don't know, and I may be wrong, but I've yet to see anything to convince me of otherwise. But then I am a moron when it comes to economics. So,
well, I'm not so sure how much impact Tsarist Russia had on the global economy at the time because they were fairly isolation. I mean, they had started kind of opening their borders again, but they had closed down very heavily during the last Great Jihad set in order to defend themselves. Mm-hmm. And they were starting to open back up to Europe a little bit. And then you had Socialist Revolution, and the Socialist Revolution happened because they had just opened back. And they had all this new information starting to come in.
Right.
Along with Karl Marx's theory. Out of France.
Right.
Thank you, French.
You guys are talking about shit that's way over my head.
Well, this is some really detailed historical maneuvering of culture.
Well, and similarly, it's like the way the cards are set up right now is a lot more similar. Like, it's like when Obama was in office and everything, I was kind of like going, holy shit, this reminds me of Chamberlain, of that whole era. And, the whole British, kind of turning their head, and back then, I guess, the big evil that I thought, Obama was ignoring would have been, jihadist, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It's just, for a while there, it just seemed like we were primed for, to just go off the deep end. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people, are seeing, that a lot of people are thinking that, there's this this invisible white conspiracy to to recreate Nazi Germany, and then B, there's a select group of people that are actually saying that's not a bad idea. I don't, man.
Well, to be fair,
I don't know if I'm making any sense saying this shit. Okay, go ahead.
So to be fair, Marcuse and his group, even in the 60s, were preaching to the socialists that they were training that you must forever the Nazis. And the reason being is the Nazis actually outcompeted the socialists in the Weimar Republic for the citizenry. And the way they did that is through a combination of violence, political rallies, and bribery. Kind of like how the communists are winning over young people today.
Yeah, kind of like what Soros is doing, funding all that, all that stuff. Yeah.
And to be fair, Soros watched how the Nazis came to power and has been using the same techniques that they used.
Yeah, he's right on that. Because back during World War II, Soros basically tricked Heinrich Himmler into hiring him, thinking that he was an ethnic German and Catholic and what have you. And then he outed his own people, and then after they lost the war, he started siding more with the newly founded UN in that. And then by extension, U.S. politics.
Yeah, the deal with Soros was a 14-year-old kid that his dad had convinced. His family was Jewish, right? And his father had convinced a friend of the family to kind of adopt George Soros as like his own child, right? And so he presented him as his nephew, I think, and when, but
nephew or godchild, I think.
Something like that, right? And so
yeah,
so and their jobs were to go through the houses and catalog all the art, all the all the jewelry, all the silver, all the good valuable goods, right? And of course, on top of that, they were both skimming off, which they were kind of encouraged to do to some degree. I believe they were warned not to take too much, but it's like at that point everybody was doing that shit, and they were in Hungary specifically. So this is pretty much Budapest. Ah,
that's right. Yeah, Hungary.
Yeah.
Thank you for the correction there. Yeah,
he's Hungarian. Yeah. So yeah, that's yeah. Of course, he's a ghoul. That's where his money came from. Was out of the pockets of dead Jews.
Yep.
So,
But regardless of where his money came from, the whole push by the communists in the Marcuse group or in the Frankfurt School was to A, be ever vigilant against the Nazis, B, treat the American conservative as an enemy. Because
right.
at the time, American conservatives kind of had this live and let live policy. You can do what you want to do. I'll do. These are the public standards for behavior. As long as we both adhere to these in public, and then we do what we do in private, nobody cares. Now that's what real tolerance is about. But Marcuse declared that this was repressive tolerance. And it was a regressive idea that would harm the movement and the progression of the people.
Right.
And so to be able to get this progression to this absolute pinnacle communist society, you had to be intolerant of this form of tolerance.
Which is insane sounding, isn't it? When you say it,
Oh yeah, it's absolutely rock shagging nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
This is bug eating crazy.
Yeah, because communism doesn't work because it can't. Not only can it not feed its people, but it's allowing a completely centralized structure to self-regulate and do as it pleases and somehow be benevolent.
Right, and of course we've been being shown over and over and over and over again that this does not work. Whereas the situation that we've got in the U.S. and the free world isn't perfect. It's still going after what we're going on 275 years.
True. And I would like to see us push back towards more of a 1930s, 1920s free market.
Oh, even like a pre 1900.
And the reason being is I think honestly our economy would become much more
what?
But much more capable.
Right.
Because we currently have so many regulations and so many restrictions that are aggressively halting that it causes problems. Case in point, here in Oregon, if you run a blueberry farm with a U-pick, so that means people can come onto your property and pick their own blueberries, you can't also sell blueberry products unless you have a separate business license through a separate department of the government with separate requirements. Seriously.
Yeah, that just sounds fucking absurd.
It is.
Yeah. But I think that... Go ahead, man. Keep talking. You're doing great. This is fantastic.
So what it really comes down to is we need to kind of simplify this and flatten this back out so that the average citizen can see their government, touch their government, interact with their government. Because right now, The average citizen can't figure out these regulations. I mean, I have trouble digging through some of these things. And if I don't know that this regulation is tied to this department, I'll never find it. Because it's thousands of pages deep. And even with keyword context searching and, you know, Google indexing and DuckDuckGo indexing, which I use all the time to find some of these more obscure policies, I have trouble finding this stuff. I have to spend hours digging. And I'm not the average citizen. You try to hand this to an average citizen, and they're never going to find it.
I'm just going to look at you and go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, kind of my point, Tara. You know, if I have trouble finding this stuff, how easy is it going to be for you? And how quickly are you going to give up and instead be subjugated to unreasonable laws instead of being able to live free and think for yourself?
Yeah, that's a problem, is that a lot of this legislation and nonsense is written to be complicated bullshit. It should be kept simple. Because what the hell is the point of, if you're going to have one try and a business or something akin to that, and you basically have to get a lawyer for fucking everything. That's bullshit.
Why they do that, right?
Of course, because they want to.
Started so that only the educated could understand the laws.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. And it's a bunch of aristocratic bullshit. And then
It really
continued. Only now they put in numbers and codes that only the people that write the laws understand.
Yep, and the government, you know, they're notorious for, you know, specific forms and, you know, numbers and letters and versions and blah blah blah, because, you know, it's to keep people from, you know, understanding how it works. It's designed that way. You know?
But once again, that shouldn't be how the American system is designed.
No, it should be like what we're saying here. It should be fucking, you know, it should be transparent. Like what, you know, Obama, you know, he knew he was lying when he said he was going to have a transparent government, right? Because, you know, they were planning on obfuscating as much as they could, so they could get away with as much as they could. The script's been flipped, and of course, you know, the media, which covered for all that, now, you know, they've turned into the exact opposite. That, you know, well, they're doing now what they should have been doing all along, and that's, you know, pressing, you know, for transparency to see what the fuck is going on and how are they doing it. You know, in the simplification of the code, it would be a wonderful place to start, you know, in replacing legalese with fucking English. You know, something basic like that.
And we just had one of your followers on Discord here also bring up Theodore Arteron, who was actually a horrible critic of popular music, arts, and society as a whole. He tried many times to convince people that most of the art styles using and participating in were decadent and evil and needed to be done away with, under the classical assumption of Marxism that all of society would have to be rejected in order to create a new society. This is where your socialist work ethic and your rejection of culture, even though it's supposed to be an advancement of leisure, comes in.
I've got an idea. If people in the chat, or like if you're into this, you know, if you're not joined, or if you are joined in my Discord, go ahead and hop in Discord and hop in the waiting room, and we can yank in somebody one at a time and talk about what, you know, whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's, you know, pertinent to the news and has nothing to do with YouTube fucking drama. Okay.
Let's keep the high school antics out of it.
Right, because there's been plenty of that tonight. So anyway, that's my little deal. But everybody's welcome. You know, that's kind of the idea behind this. You know, where I was just talking about transparency, and my brain said, "Well, why don't you get some people in and see what they think?" You know, but, you know, because I think we're able to get a better perspective on something if we can see it from as many different angles as we need, can.
You're right. And it's actually one of those really weird things. And it's part of the reason that we know that the Nazis were actually socialists. Is because if you look at what they did with the art of Europe,
Right.
they pulled it away from the people. They condemned it. They said it was corrupt and decadent and degenerate.
Yes.
And the whole concept in Marxism is of society's fundamental concepts: religion, politics, philosophy, law.
Right, and religion now has been replaced with social justice. So now we're getting all this, it's just Puritanism wrapped in a different wrapper. Feminism.
But the point is that you had to take all of these things that were fundamental to society and created the fabric of society,
Correct.
throw it away, and create a whole new society without those old ideas, but with a whole new set. And that's why we've got social justice trying to replace religion, and feminism trying to replace family dynamic, and critical race theory trying to replace old tolerant racial interaction.
Do me a favor. Why don't you talk a little bit, because you mentioned this earlier, about intersectionality and the idea behind that? Because I think a lot of people hear that and, not really sure exactly what that means.
Okay, so intersectional theory it's rather difficult to wrap your head around to some extent. But let's look at it at its basic idea. And that is, the entirety of your identity is made up of these intersecting personality traits. And these traits are binary traits. So one example would be if you like the taste of water versus not the taste of water. That's something that's identifiable to you. Now, other people will have that identifiable trait too, but that's an identifiable trait. So you either like the taste of water or you don't.
I'm one of those that don't.
And so, under that theory, you and I, Tara, would be on separate sides of that identification, because I like the taste of water.
Yeah, but to be fair, water in Florida tastes like sulfur, so
it does. In a lot
that
of cases.
depends on where you are in Florida.
Okay.
It does in a lot of
from
cases.
experience.
I'll give you that. And I'm up here in Oregon, where I'm getting it right out of the Bull Mountain Run Reservoir, which is about as
I
clean
used
as
to
you
live
can
on
get.
some property where my well line ran straight into an underground spring.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Depends on where you are in Florida.
All right. So
Anyhow,
yeah, Vetran
So-
likes the taste. Tara does not.
so that means that one side oppresses the other. Now, in this example, I'm going to use the likes the taste of water oppressing those that don't. Because in society, we're told that water is clean and refreshing, and you should like it. We're also told by the doctors you should drink 8 at least. So that is those that like the taste of water oppressing people like Tara, who don't like the taste of water, because we're telling her what to do. Now that's
pretty much.
where the intersectionality oppression concept comes into place. One side oppresses the other. One side's the oppressor, one side's the victim of all of these binaries. And so that's something that comes up as part of this intersectional concept. And it's not just as simple as that. I mean, it can be multi-layered and multifaceted. Now, the thing is that the basic principle of the intersections creating your identity is true. The fundamental principle that one side is the oppressor and one side is the oppressed of any of those intersections is where the conflict comes in.
Right.
If I'm okay with Tara not drinking water if she doesn't want to drink water, but I remind her every now and again, hey, you might want to try drinking some water because it might help you to be a little more healthy. Is that really me oppressing her? Well, under the intersection, under the intersectional theory, that is. Realistically, is it?
Yeah, right. It's debatable.
It's insanely debatable. And another example would be liking George Carlin.
Right.
Okay.
Versus not.
So I like the taste of water, and I like George Carlin. Well, that's two identifying factors of my personality. But George Carlin is seen as an oppressive idea because he didn't believe in political correctness. Point, he's an oppressor.
Right.
And so the fact that I sympathize with his ideas means that I oppress anybody who doesn't like George Carlin and thinks that political correctness should be something that George Carlin should have supported. But is that really what I'm trying to do?
Exactly.
I mean, I liked him because he was a sarcastic SOB.
Right. And he
made me think.
Right, exactly. So the way, so intersectionality, all right, then what it is, all right, is you've got different people, okay? You've got, you know, all right, see, like, all right, here's the deal, like within feminism, all right? Now we're talking about TERFs. There's trans-exclusionary radical feminists, and there's something else. There's a new version of it where it's almost like they're starting to fragment and having, you know, polarity within their own factions, right? To where the, you know, how does the intersectionality work with that? Because they both want to react against, you know, the oppressive white male, right? But then now they're having this problem within their own ranks because of the polarity that you're talking about.
So some of this comes back to the concepts of critical theory. Case in point, you've got white feminists, black feminists, you've got your lesbian radical feminists, you've got your transgender feminists, you've got your queer feminists.
Of course, don't forget your quad-gendered, trans-dimensional Brony Lords, Pegasisters, and other kin.
And other kin feminists. Now, each of these groups are independent of each other, even though they're all feminists, because they all have this secondary identity. And right now, the TERFs are feeling like that they're oppressed by the transgender feminists, which are basically biological men claiming to be women.
Right.
Who are then in turn also claiming that they're lesbian. And the TERFs in a lot of cases are feeling that this is an attempt to force them into heterosexual sex acts in the name of transgenderist theory.
Yep. And
at this point,
Weeb's video she did on this.
Exactly. I was about to say this is exactly what Weebo was talking about in her most recent video.
That was great.
Right.
Yeah, because at this point, these two radical leftist theories are at odds with each other. Why? Because both of them are not truly based in real reality. The reality is you should never have to have sex with anybody that you do not find attractive.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
That's a personal choice. It's a personal preference.
Right, and that's covered in our fucking that's in the Bill of Rights, right?
Well, you have the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, you don't actually. There's no actual sexual behavior right.
That's broadly covered under the pursuit of happiness.
But it's broadly covered under the concepts of pursuit of happiness and the right of individual privacy.
Privacy, right. That's where I was going with that.
Because like under the Fourth Amendment,
Exactly.
you can't be forced to produce documents unless there is a viable need. No, you should have your documents on you at all times. You cannot be forced to produce documents without a viable need, which when it comes to police, that means that there's a warrant, or they've caught you in the act of doing something, or they're attempting to establish your identity for a necessary legal reason. Now, the actual play out of that is you got to be careful with that, even as a citizen, if you know those rights, because disobeying a lawful order from a police officer can still get you into a lot of trouble. Questioning whether an order is lawful, on the other hand, in a polite tone, it gets really touchy. But these TERFs shouldn't feel that they're being pressured. But under their Marxist ideology, they are. Because if they don't conform to what the ideology states, then they're going to be rejected. And that's the whole problem with the identity politics system.
Go ahead.
Did I lose everybody there? Did I go way over?
No, not at all, man. It's like my brain is like going on three different levels.
And I know I got really deep with the philosophy there, but I hope I didn't lose it.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, well, here's the deal. Is like, all right, well, so at some point, there is an act of disobedience, right? Where the police, like what you're talking about, where the law intervenes, and and then it goes to court, right? And the application of the whether it's the Fourth Amendment or whether it's the right to pursuit of happiness, right? So that's either decided there, or if it is and it's not to someone's liking, right, they can always appeal it and then go up the chain of command all the way to the Supreme, right? And where I was trying to go with all of this is that the Supreme Court nominations, some of these nominations are some of the most important decisions, literally when it comes to protecting our freedoms.
They're insanely important, man.
Right, because
insanely important.
Right, you've got an entire branch of our government that's literally 9 people that are appointed for life. They can't be voted out unless there's certain circumstances where they can be thrown out, I believe, by their peers. But so at a certain point, these people and their decisions are extremely important. To a point of where, it's going to make or break it. The Roe versus Wade is a fantastic example of how, how it changed the face of the United States. And we went from kind of a traditionally oriented, and you can say that decision had something to do with this introduction of what I would say is that the Frankfurt School or the German school, whatever people want to call it, they found that as the perfect wedge issue to politicize in a feminist, and put a feminist jacket on it, right?
I actually think you're wrong there.
Okay.
And let me explain why.
All right.
So, the push of feminism in the United States existed before we had the Frankfurt School here.
With the suffrage, right. Okay.
Even before that.
Right.
even before that. We're talking all the way back to the 1800s and the first initial push of the Prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
That was when feminism seriously took hold in the United States. Now, the abortion issue has been one of those kind of scenarios where it was actually a movement of the eugenics determinacy that got adopted before Nazi Reich from the United States. In fact, Hitler saw the eugenics developments of the United States and thought they were grand and adopted them. So those ideas actually came out of this country, not out of Europe.
Well, a lot of
Shit,
people
exported them
Spring
there.
Harbor.
Say again?
Spring Harbor
Yeah,
from me. I've been there.
yeah. But yeah, most of those eugenics and the idea of birth control through sterilization and birth control through abortion, a lot of those came from the United States originally. And a lot of them came out of the Democrat Party.
right, and Margaret Sanger,
Well, not just Margaret Sanger, but the Klan actually pushed a proposal of black people whose IQs were too low to stop them from overpopulating.
right,
And that was a eugenics program.
right, and Sanger also, she extended that to impoverished white Americans, right? Because
Well, and-
she wanted to sterilize them because she didn't want, because the idea is these people are obviously incapable of becoming smarter and contributing, so therefore they pass it on to generations, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was the theory.
And the Nazis took every bit of this shit from us, from the United States, and nobody wants to hear that. You know?
No, nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
Now, here's some of the other insane things. So let's discuss some of the things that have been done to the Native Americans that were done from Margaret Sanger's theories. There were forced sterilization in the 40s and 50s. American
Well, it is
tribal
what it
land.
is, man, and I think that's why during World War II and that George Bush and his friends decided that they were going to try and funnel their resources and what have you into their homegrown Nazi movement that they had, that they were planning on using to overthrow America in the off case that the Axis started winning.
Now, I'm familiar with the American Nazi Party.
George Bush.
I don't recall seeing George Bush in their roles.
It was, if I remember correctly, it was George Herbert Walker, or the predecessor before him.
He fought
Now-
in World War II. He was a torpedo bomber pilot.
Yeah, Herbert
and-
Walker's father.
You're talking about his dad, GHW's father.
I believe so. It's been a while since I dusted off that conspiracy, but it was, if I remember correctly, it was.
You broke up there, Burnside, or you didn't come across. I think we lost him.
Holy shit,
Bromfi got him.
Yeah.
dude!
Well,
Every time that happens, man, it feeds into this. To you know what I'm saying?
into the paranoia that somebody's listening besides our followers.
The JQ gets asked once again somewhere. Somebody's asking it.
But
Just
yeah,
saying.
so all of the eugenics programs, including the final solution that was created by Hitler and his SS, and
That,
all of that.
and by extension.
There we
Cutting
go.
out love.
Oh, God damn it.
Dude, I swear to God, the very beginning and the very end of what you just said, we heard it, and everything in between it was blank.
Emmanuel knows you're talking bad about him, man. He's censoring you. Speaking of Chicago, did you see the stats from last weekend.
What stats?
4 people killed, 24 wounded in gunfight.
What was going on Saturday morning? Well, Saturday afternoon, really. I got up and fucking Medicker's on there with some kind of thing going on with Chicago, and he's like, all these people are like walking across an interstate trying to block it. What was all that about?
Oh yeah,
That was some pastor.
That was part of that whole push, abolish ICE.
Oh.
But Sunday morning, a gunfight broke out. 4 people were killed, 24 people were wounded in a rolling gun battle in Chicago.
Wow.
Around 3:30 a.m., the incident started with a 32-year-old male who was in his car and a 33-year-old male with a 33-year-old male next to him. And yeah, pretty bad situation. So it looks like the stats are going to be coming up for Burnside, and they're going to be getting bigger.
This may be the most bloodiest year. I mean, think about all that blood on his hands, man.
Well, if they'd start removing the gun control laws and letting the citizens protect themselves, it wouldn't be. The citizens are so disarmed.
They're sitting ducks, man.
Yeah.
It's so sad,
I was explaining to a guy the other day why Portland has such a low incidence of carjacking. And it's because Portland has always had a concealed carry program. And so even though there is gang violence in Portland, mostly exported from California, it's not a smart idea to try to carjack someone because they might be carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And so you try to walk up. Yeah, in Florida, it's one of the reasons carjackings went way down when they changed their concealed carry laws. Is because when the guy sitting behind the seat of the car might have a gun and you go to open the door and pull him out, well, now they're going to shoot you. And they're going to be justified in it because you tried to pull them out of their car.
Time we travel, my uncle carries the, I think it's 9mm.
Yep. That's a nice choice.
I saw Burnside just drop something in the general chat. Is this?
Yeah, it's a video.
Is that the bog people? Is that one of the bog people, man?
That looks like actually a charred body.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's one of the Alex Jones videos. Looks like one of the charred bodies from World War II. It's a 2-hour Alex Jones InfoWar piece. I'll have to look at it later. But the truth is that the whole push of the eugenics movement came out of the United States. It didn't come out of Germany first. And the U.S. was already putting in practices and creating abortion and trying to create abortion clinics as far back as the early 1900s, trying to give that as an option to help in several different plans, including trying to reduce the non-white population in the United States.
Right. Because they were afraid of an uprising.
Yep.
There's something wrong with diversity, and they're, got to get rid of the original people that were here.
Well, it wasn't just the original people that were here. It was also the blacks and at sometimes even the Mexicans.
Asians too.
Asians as well. In fact, there were several laws passed making import Asian workers. which is one of the things that some of these social justice leftists are using to state that our actions with ICE stopping people from entering the country illegally is a horrible heritage of discrimination against foreigners. They use those old labor laws about importing Chinese laborers as proof that America has always been racist.
Was it Sick Men of Asia? What was that? God, what is that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Asia was the name for China in the 19th century.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right. Okay. You're awful quiet tonight, Scoob. Man, what are you thinking, man? We've been...
Well, I hopped on Facebook because I lost the cell phone I was using, so I was trying to get in touch with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
People I know are dead. And, And
I'm sorry, man.
That the girl that I was talking to in high school, the number one New York Times bestseller and USA Today bestseller, I never even knew. I just found out tonight. So
where did you put that? Because I had seen that.
They used to date that girl.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know until just now.
Gail McHugh?
It was Marino.
Gotcha.
To her, and I was talking to her sister Patricia, and what it was, two of them, and their mother passed away. I think we were in like 10th or I was in 10th or 11th grade. I'm not sure if they were both in the same grade as me. I don't remember. They both started dating two drug dealers in the neighborhood. Gail's husband, I actually made peace with him. I was going to tear his fucking ears off. His husband, Lou, I think he's dead now. Hopefully. Yeah, it's just one of those things that floored me. I'm like, holy shit, because I haven't seen her talk to the girl in years. And I just seen it in Facebook. I seen her page, and I clicked on it, and I'm looking at it, and it says, New York Times bestseller. I'm like, what? Holy shit, Gail's an author.
Oh man, you never know.
Talking all about that cookie dough.
It never went that way, believe it or not. I was very shy and quiet as a teenager. I was a very good boy.
I see that.
You know, nothing ever happened between us. It was an innocent teenage relationship. No, it was one of those things. I can't even really say that was a relationship. I went out with her, and I went out with her sister like once or twice. I took them both out somewhere. Nothing came of it. But it's one of those things like, what came of it? It's just one of those things. It didn't work out, and I've just been sitting here. My mind's been reeling for the past hour after I found this. Like, wow.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
I was going to say, man, if you wanted to hear Elizabeth Warren's appearance of Justice Kavanaugh, and this is, I'm quoting her now. Brett Kavanaugh's record as a judge and lawyer is clear. Hostile to health care for millions, opposed the CFPB and corporate accountability, thinks presidents like Trump are above the law, and conservatives are confident that he would overturn Roe v. Wade. I'll be voting no.
You know,
what in the hell was that?
That was
Elizabeth Warren.
Nice.
Oh, I love this new toy.
To her on Twitter, and it's part of the reason I got suspended the first time, along with the shit that I sent to what's his face. But sent something to her, and I got a strike on Twitter. I told her that I forget what crazy shit she put out. I told her that she needs to be bound and gagged with electrodes attached to her head, and she needs to be left in a water closet somewhere. In trouble.
Oh God.
You know, all partisan shit aside, that woman's crazy.
She is.
She ain't right, man. That's for
crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't gotten in trouble for talking to Senator Warren and telling her she needs help. Maybe it's the way you phrased it.
I told her, I wrote to her, I said, you need to be bound, gagged.
Oh, you cut out there, man.
Damn, man. What in the fuck?
It's Discord.
It's the fucking ROMFI.
It's the Discord.
It's spreading.
Calling someone crazy is like a hate crime or some shit.
Is
then
that
how
what she
come?
said? Did she
To her,
say
I
that?
told her she was crazy.
Then how come getting away with trying to claim that I have PTSD when I don't, and I report them to Twitter?
I don't know. There's a double standard. I'm currently suspended right now because I wished it's a Sicilian curse. I wish somebody goes blind today and lives to be over 100. Suspended for that. And I'm looking on this thing, and I need to get a camera desperately because I'm going into the village, and I'm going to stick the camera right in Jack Dorsey's face and start reading off tweets that are still up there that these people didn't get suspended for. That Sissy Mary down in North Carolina who's doxing right-wingers. He still has his site up on Twitter, and he's still doxing people.
Yep. It's just like that communist professor that I did a Cultural Marxist of the Month video on. He got my video. Limited stated, but he's still spreading his Marxist propaganda on Twitter. And all I did was report that that's what he was doing.
Crazy over on the West Coast by you.
He's over by you, man. He's in Boston.
Fuck, too far.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like all the ones that are in New York, I actually put together a list, and people get nervous when they hear lists. No, people, don't worry. I'm a journalist. You see, I will get a camera and stick it in their face and get them to run after me, screaming, flipping me off. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'll get them to do that. I don't need to go and, like, I don't have to physically hurt anybody. I don't have to get violent.
Yeah.
I have no problem sticking a camera in somebody's face, you know, like, I'm waiting for Will Smith to come back out here. I'm waiting for Snoop Dogg to come back out here. I'm waiting for all these celebrities to go to Jones Beach and to go out to the Hamptons.
Oh, leave Will Smith alone.
Oh, fuck Will Smith. You got no idea. Will Smith is part of the reason I'm training. Will Smith and I are the same height and build, and he's 9 years my senior. He should never have said Trump supporters need to be cleansed. He's talking about my mother. Gonna cleanse my mother from the country, that big-eared fuck? For a decade against Eminem. The taste out of his mouth. Him I might actually get violent with. It's because I feel betrayed.
I hear you, man.
Rest of them, though, nah. Fuck that. Let them go and attack me. House. Fuck them. Seriously.
So guys, apparently the left is already prepared to start protesting hashtag Stop Kavanaugh.
Good for them.
He just got announced today. How are they already prepared?
Yeah, they were ready to probably just go. There was probably something for each, nominee that they thought he was going to pick, and they were, just pull the plug on it and just, pull the lever on it and just let it go. Because
you know what we need to do?
Go ahead, Bob.
I'll tell you exactly what we need to do. He needs to reinstate the trans thing with the military, and he needs to reinstate the draft. He will clean out Los Angeles and he'll clean out New York in 2 months.
Yeah, but then what do you do with them? Because now they're in the military.
Afghanistan, send them to Iraq. Send them somewhere.
Send them
Brother
to
says, and they
Afghanistan.
like to say that Trump supporters want to purge. Hell, I'm a Democrat. Liberal. I want a fucking purge.
Well, they're saying this.
Have a list of people that, if the purge were to actually happen, going after.
Fuck that. I don't got no list like that.
Well, yeah.
I personally, I'm just concerned with the country. I could care less about these screwball people that are out there screaming in the streets. I'd like to know, we really need to print up like leaflets, pamphlets, something to hand out to people. Like when a leftist violates enough things for treason, like you can citizens arrest them. Like seriously, I want to hand out pamphlets and zip ties. When you see these little bastards breaking enough laws, you can tie them the fuck up. And yeah, here you go, officer. I'll come into court and testify. Send them the fuck away. Seriously.
Well, you know, man, flex cuffs are pretty cheap.
That's what
They're
I'm
only
saying.
like $2 a pair.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, like, if you ever seen the movie Panther about the Black Panthers that Mario Van Peebles directed,
Yeah.
with Huey was how he knew the letter of the law, and he was telling all the black people, you know, no, that's the law. You don't have to do that. That's not the law. That. Use that tactic.
Right.
Pamphlets. You see this little bastard over here? He just broke the law. You can call the cops and get him arrested. Go right ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the
Seriously.
Alinsky thing, man. You know, it's like you take your opponent's rules and you use them against them, right? You use their own rules against them, man, because you know they all screw up, man. They all slip up, man.
Well, that's one of the reasons I don't identify as right wing. I identify as an independent. That way, if I smack the shit out of somebody, the right wing doesn't get heat for it. An argument with somebody up at the college. That was the day I said, you know what, the hell with this. And I got into the accident a few days later. But I said I'm going to withdraw from classes because I had one of the kids start with me. It goes like this. He's like, yeah, you're going to be a typical right winger and oppress me. I looked at him. I go, son. Hey, son.
Smart ass.
I'm an independent. I'll smack the fuck out you. You got no one to blame then. I can't take these kids.
Your freedom, man. Exactly. That's what you represent. Freedom. Freedom.
I
to
just
kick somebody's ass.
Yeah. You know, that's the whole problem. I said it the other day when I was on the cunt stream with that pack of jokers. I said to them, you know, that's the whole problem in this country is you got no teeth. Seriously, you got no teeth. You've got. I can't even count how many fist fights I got into before I was 20.
Yeah, they've got all the bark, but they've got no bite. That's why when
Burnside, how many people your age do you know that have never gotten into a fist fight?
only a handful.
You know how much those numbers skyrocket when you get to the coastal states where these people live?
Probably exponentially.
Yep.
My wife's brother is like 44 years old. The asshole got into a fight once with a girl, lost, and she broke his arm.
What a chicken shit.
Jeez,
Oh, I know.
Man, I was in at least 4 fights before I was ever through high school.
Jeez, I was in a shitload when I was just in grade school.
I need to take a quick break, y'all. Be right back.
A couple of fist fights a day in high school. Like,
Well, most of the guys wouldn't mess with me because I was on the football team, I was on the wrestling team, so most of them were worried that if they tried to start a fist fight with me, I'd put them on the ground.
it was the reverse with me. I actually used to walk through the rotunda where the jocks used to hang out, and I used to like kick the chairs out from underneath the wrestlers. I used to smack around the football players.
See, that's why you
I
kept
was-
getting into fist, and you were
What it
egging
was-
them on.
You know what it was? I was on the weight team, but I was also the dungeon master, and I used to like hang out on the chess club and all that shit. And one of the nerds would come in, and they'd be all disheveled. I'm like, "What's the matter?" I just took my drink and spilled it all over me, and I knocked my books out of my hand. Oh, that sucks. All right, hey guys, I'll be right back. I gotta go take a leak. I'd walk out. The guy would be sitting there with his chair tilted back. I'd kick the legs out from the chair, grab him by his throat. Come here, you motherfucker! Right up against him. Scooby, come on. No. You put your hands on my boy. I remember once I couldn't go back to school for like a week or two because I mean the whole school was going to like kick the shit out of me. I think it was the first time in like 30 years we didn't win homecoming, and it's because I actually went and tuned up 3 of the football players with fucking chairs. That's the reason they put the cameras in the school after that. Nah, fuck
Good
them.
Lord, man.
Sometimes ass
Look,
whoopings are
I got
legal.
it's athletes. I don't like jocks. These assholes had like 5 home jerseys and 5 away jerseys, and they would wear them every day to school.
Yeah.
Jersey they played in, but then they had the ones they wore to school every day. I went to school with people like that.
See, I was proud of my jersey, and I wore it on game day. The rest of the week, I wore whatever I wore.
These guys wore the school colors every day. Every day.
I had a couple airheads like that when I was in high school. Pretty much all I had to do was confront them. Or just talk about the crazy shit I talk about during lunch, and then the broads go and take care of it for me.
No, me and my crew, we were dangerous. Like the rest of the crew, like there were the druggies, there were the jocks, there were the criminals, we were the brawlers. It's not that we looked for trouble. Like you'd be, you know, like hanging out at the bleachers. A couple of people, you'd be drinking 40 ounces. A blunt would be going around or whatever, and then you know, like a car would pull up and the car would empty, and it would be a different crew. Oh, what up, boys? What's the deal? And they'd roll up on you like, yo, what's good? Heard you had beef. I mean, broad daylight, you'd get into a brawl in the middle of the schoolyard or something. That's how it was around here. That's part of the reason I think our laws have gotten so strict in the past 20 years. You could go, not so much in Manhattan, but you could go through the outer boroughs and out here, and you just see fistfights on the street corners and shit.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why a lot of rules have changed, because the bullshit is all those goddamn pansy-ass pro clutchers and shit always bitched about their kids getting into fights or this and that and whatever, and they baby people. An ass whooping is good for the soul because it makes sure that you won't become a sodomite.
I love your logic.
I was gonna say, man, an attitude adjustment every now and again is not hard on you. It might make you think about the rest of the world.
Well, yeah.
You know, the scariest situation you can ever be in, and I'm saying this for any younger people who are listening.
What the fuck?
Don't ever want to put yourself in a situation. You're hauling off unloading on somebody. Done. They just crack their neck and say, "You done?"
Oh yeah.
Out there to you guys, to everyone out there. I've been in that situation. Really don't want to, especially when you're a big guy like me. You're unloading on somebody smaller than you. Yeah. You're talking some Jack Reacher shit.
That's why nobody picks fights with Nightcrow. He's the literal fucking Wolverine.
Well, I tell people all the time, just don't pick fights. Damn dog.
Yeah, man, I never picked fights, but I ended up in several.
Well, that's actually what made me become a bouncer, is seeing all that drama, and it's cool. You throw the assholes out the bar, and everyone has a good time.
Yep.
With that, no, that's fine. I say bouncer. I did more of the door. I was more like the doorman. It's just, you know what it was like, the bouncing? You'd have to get me really mad for me to get physical with you. Be sarcastic. And the guys, like, they would come to the door and we'd start arguing whenever they get loud and they get in my face. But I really had to get physical with them because the other bouncers had no senses of humor. They'd come and they'd grab the guy by the hair and they'd start dragging him down the sidewalk, and they'd look over at me like, "Stop fucking with them, Scooby. Just throw them out."
Quit playing with your food.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. You know, they'd go to come in and I'd start screwing with them.
No shit.
ID wouldn't be legit, but I wouldn't tell them that. Like, no, you can't come in here like that. Why not? What the hell's wrong with my socks? You read the sign that's over there? No striped socks. In the bar. I can't see it from here. Well, no shit. You can't go in there with those socks on. So the guy was standing, started taking off the shoes. The bouncer would come out like, I told him he can't come in with the striped socks on. Why did you tell him that? It doesn't work. Why didn't you just tell him his ID doesn't work? They hated that I did shit like that. Yeah, I just thought I'd have them doing all sorts of crazy shit. The club, if only they did it. Like, I had one guy, I told him, I said his pants were too long, you had to roll them up. His asshole standing on line with his pants cuffed up to his knees. Times.
You guys watch my video about the asshole that was following me and Roxy?
Yeah, what the fuck? Finish that story.
Okay, so we were at UF for Pokemon Day. One is pulling onto the side of the road to catch Pokemon and stuff like that. Well, this asshole decides to honk at us. There was a car in front of us. We couldn't, exactly go forward. So we go around them, and then we pull off to the side to hit a gym and a couple Pokestops that were right there. Yes. And Roxy is just like, whatever, dude, you could fucking go around me. There was plenty of room. And there was. And
maybe he thought you two were cute.
Backs of our heads. Oh. He finally goes around. He stops next to the car. Roxy just keeps her face forward and shakes her head like, no, I'm not doing this. Then he goes forward and slams on his brakes in the middle of the fucking road. I guess waiting for us. And other vehicles are having to go around him. So then he turns down into a lot area, and Roxy continues to go forward. That, he try and catch up with us. And Roxy's like, go, dude, go. He wouldn't go, so she goes, and he got behind us. That's when I shut off the game I was playing, got the camera out, and I was like, okay, we're recording this, because if he decides to follow us, university all the way to the ghetto where I live, which is across the fucking town, I have evidence that he could have turned off at any point. He can't claim here, no, his car's too fucking nice. As you saw in the video, he took a picture of the car and he's like shaking his finger like, no, you can't record me, motherfucker. Yes, I can. States I can record anything and everything I want to.
If anything bad comes of this, if you get my ticket, I'll come down there.
Nothing bad's going to happen. He realized I wasn't going to stop recording, decided to go a different direction.
Yeah. He shit himself.
But seriously, I was going to, we were going to go to my friend Kyrell's house. Tori wasn't home, who's not exactly a big black man, but he's, and built. The neighbor is a tall, burly black man. Now, he wouldn't want to fuck with us anyway. Knocking on the dude's door, still recording, going, I need you to come out here. You got this jack off bothering me. See on the phone with the police. I think he just couldn't get laid, couldn't get his Pokemon, something. Any shinies.
you because he thought you were cute at first.
Guys been known to do that kind of shit. You know, act like
Do
complete
that
idiots
sound,
just
that
for
can get you shot.
just for a piece of ass. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it might have been his inability to articulate his fondness for your shape and form. And
In a car, he can't really see my shape and form.
you don't know that. You don't know if he saw you beforehand and started following you all, you know. Or if he was some kind of freak, just, you know, looking for,
Looking to get freaky deaky?
looking to get freaky deaky.
Happening.
Yeah, well, it's good that it came out like it did. Chased his ass away.
Yeah, people don't like recording you when you record them. That's what I'll do from now on. When people start harassing me, I'll just start recording them.
Well, that's because when you start recording them, it means that now there's more than just your word versus them.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to look up some news or anything, man, and there is just nothing that's... There was something that happened yesterday, and I can't fucking find it, man, and I should...
No.
I can't remember what it was. Go ahead.
I have one more thing that might be something we can talk about, but I didn't want to bring this up with Scoob on the stream because I know he'll get hot under the collar about this.
We don't want that, for God's sakes.
This is a post from the Oregonian on July 2nd. Portland protest leader Micaiah Rhodes avoids prison for sex abuse charges. Again. For the second time in recent weeks, Portland protest leader Micaiah Isaiah Rhodes stood before an Oregon jury ready to go to prison for having sexual contact with underage teenagers. For the second time, an Oregon judge agreed to veer from state sentencing recommendation and give Rhodes 5 years probation.
Holy shit.
The Multnomah County Circuit Judge Jerry Hodgson on Monday said he wouldn't send Rhodes to prison for 2 to 2.5 years because he believes Rhodes earnestly is trying to change despite prosecution's arguments to the contrary.
Well, this sounds interesting.
Quote, I can tell that you're sincere and I can tell that you've grown a lot over the last couple of years, Hudson said to Rhodes as he wiped away tears. Rhodes was 20 and 21 at the times of his crimes, which were 2014 and 2015. In March, Rhodes pled guilty to 2 counts of felony second-degree sexual abuse for at least having sex twice with a 17-year-old boy. Rhodes met the boy at a gay dating app, and the contact happened in Gresham and in Troutdale. Days earlier, a Washington County judge had found Rhodes guilty of second-degree sexual abuse of a 17-year-old girl.
Oh, Christ.
A defense memo that contact happened after the girl went to watch a movie with Rhodes and at his mother's house. Oregon law states it's a crime for an adult to have sexual contact with a minor if there are 3 or more years of age difference between the two. Age of consent laws vary from state to state, with most states allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to have sexual contact with adults under certain circumstances. Oregon is one of about a dozen states that sets the age of consent at 18, and Washington state sets the age at 16. Now 24 was a leader of the protest group Portland's Resistance, which rose to prominence after Donald Trump won presidential election in 2016. And then it goes on to talk about his activism, because he's somewhat of a local hero because of the fact that he's resisting.
Sounds like this dude's one disgusting son of a sodomite.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that one, Burnside. This guy is definitely a disturbing individual.
So what, are they going to let this guy just go about and fornicate until he turns up being an anti for John Wayne Gacy sodomite?
Probably.
You know? Or are they like this, goddamn, I lost my train of thought. Like, since they're not locking him up, are they giving him room to where he can continue to fornicate around and what have you?
5 years probation.
Yeah.
No ankle monitor.
Not monitored.
Unmonitored.
No ankle monitor?
Yeah.
No ankle monitor.
Great, lovely. So they're going to have to wait until this guy turns up with, 5, 6, 8, 10 more raped children at his feet.
Yeah.
How fucking progressive.
Exactly.
Here's what's worse. This judge is one of the main circuit judges for Multnomah County. And Multnomah County is the central county area of downtown Portland.
Which is basically Antipaturf. Got it.
Yep.
Damn.
Since this guy is leader of PDX Resist, assuming he even gets caught again.
So great. So basically, since this guy is comrade sodomite, he can continue his villainous sodomy. Lovely. He can go about raping more underage people. How fucking lovely.
Well, now here's the deal, man. Part of the reason he didn't get a much more serious charge is because these individuals have claimed that this was consensual. And he got caught after the fact. 17. Both times.
That's a 16 to 24 law.
Now, he was 21 at the time, and he's now 24. But at 17, they can't be more than 20 in Oregon for it to be
I still say that dude was pushing his luck with doing that.
He was.
Unless comrade sodomite can prove that he had no idea that that was the law and he was just fornicating because he's a fornicator, then I'd say throw the book at him, lock him up.
Oh no, the Romeo and Juliet law in Oregon is widely known and easy to find.
Then incarcerate the sodomite and culturally appropriate his anus to the prison gangs. Consensually.
Well, that's not likely to happen.
Regrettably, it seems so.
And this isn't the first time I've seen something like this. And I'm not even talking with this guy. This is not the first protest leader and resistance group leader that I've seen get away with.
Oh, yeah, because they're all disgusting fucking people.
Right.
More often than not, they're fucking disgusting people. They're a bunch of deranged criminal nutbags that want to hide their own criminal lechery and what have you behind the banner of whatever group they're in. You know, I've seen the same shit happen when the whole LGBT thing originally was LGBT, and then the rest of these vacuous, villainous, sodomites, communists, etc. decided to go and use them as a literal meat shield so that they could hide themselves from their wrongdoings, and then in turn basically wound up butchering the whole group into sodomites are us and shit and the whole rest of that social justice nonsense.
The LGBT are not happy about that.
They shouldn't be. They should do something about it. Because I'm not doing something about it. Because
They're
I
trying
want
to.
to put that mess.
So much, unfortunately.
BT, did you guys see the thing that Sargon put up about this weekend?
Oh yeah,
I don't pay attention to him
I
anymore.
watched half the shit that's posted.
He put up a thing. It was basically the lesbians and the trans men were fighting.
Yep.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Basically, or intersectional hearsay none such as bitching about other intersectional hearsay none such.
It's the turfs. Yes, the turf wars. Yep.
Yep. One group fighting with the other group for control of the social justice stack.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's basically like Lenin versus Trotsky. That's basically what the whole thing is.
It's more like this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with you there, Irate.
I'm sorry, I'm just having too much fun with that. I will have more. Yeah, it only came loaded with like a limited number of noises, but I will. It will be very useful in the future. So.
Oh God, I'm looking at a sign here that says "ICE Agents, Americans, Gestapo."
Oh Jesus.
It's incorrect. That would be the CIA.
Yeah, that would be the CIA, which of course the Dems love.
Of course, because the CIA hides all their dead bodies of children.
Yep. That's why Hillary Clinton isn't on trial for murder.
Yep, or treason.
And these fucking scholars are over here, oh man, it hurts my head just to think about how vacuous these motherfuckers actually are.
Oh gosh, yeah, it really is.
And
now I'm looking at it even
better. Why, when I talk about these people, I quite literally, just derogatorily, call them all sodomites, because they are absolutely nothing.
Well, Sodom wasn't just full of homosexuals. Sodom was full of gamblers, degenerates, child fuckers,
it was just
goat fuckers. It was just general debauchery.
Yeah, and that's what they are. They're sexual and political debaucherers.
Right.
And that's why I just call them that. Because they say they stand for this, they stand for that, they identify as this, as that. No, they are of Sodom, essentially.
Right.
They politically, sexually, and in every other form identify as a citizen of Sodom that's just trying to conquer the world for Sodom's sake.
So what I was gushing about was this meme that I'm looking at here. And it's a combination of a Planned Parenthood meme and a carcinogenic blood sacrifice ritual. Where this priest is about to stick this baby into a statue of a deity's hands to be sacrificed. And on the shoulder is the Planned Parenthood symbol. Yeah. That's why I said, oh gosh.
What is it, the statue of Moloch?
Yeah, can you copy that and paste that in my
give me a
fucking
second.
general, man? Yeah.
Definitely, I want to see this.
Sounds like something I want to display, actually.
The winged minotaur, it's Moloch.
Moloch.
Definitely. Oh, and unrelated, I just made another flag sale. Woohoo!
Good for you, man.
Sweet.
Apparently people are really liking my Warhammer flag.
But yeah,
so this one that you just posted.
There we go. I just posted.
Oh
on the
God! Is that Horus?
Roll down here.
No, that.
Yep, that's Moloch.
That's Moloch.
Yep.
Let me see.
can
I
see
got
the
a couple
wings.
of pictures of Moloch.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Moloch because that looks like the old Roman statue stuff that that most of the other people used as references.
What the hell is that picture? I have tons of pictures of Moloch actually because I was working on that thing on that game I'm designing.
Yeah.
Freaking thing. Let's see.
I'll look it up.
Where did you put it, fool?
But yeah,
I deleted it.
that's why I was surprised to find that running across Twitter.
It's a crock of shit.
Yep, that's Moloch, man. I'm looking at the picture it's taken from right now. It's in the Wikipedia. Open Wikipedia Moloch, and it's the same fucking picture. Exact. It's crazy.
Figures.
Let me see. I'm stupid. I could just go into my search history. Oh, I know that picture. That's
Yes.
there it is. I just did. If I can get this thing up. Actually, out of some sort of a coloring book. Fucking people,
What?
people in Britain are weird.
Well, people in
original.
Britain have decided they're going to surrender their entirety to the new crown.
You know,
Yep, yep. That looks like the original picture.
Yep.
And yeah, that's a real good likeness of Moloch.
honestly, look, I'll be honest with you. This, the main god of that part of the world for.
You cut out there, Scoob.
I was saying Moloch was the main god of that part of the world. Roman Empire, basically.
Yep.
Centuries. This is a cult that's been around since before Rome and after Rome. The fact that people keep saying this thing over and over about Planned Parenthood, I wouldn't put it past them. Cooking shit with Podesta and seeing half of the crazy shit that these people do up over at Bohemian Grove.
Oh, speaking of Bohemian Grove, did you guys get that video I sent before I romfied?
You mean the one from Alex Jones?
Yeah, it's a long video, but that was the conspiracy I was talking about.
Yeah,
About
we
the
did.
Bush family? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Just to
gosh.
tell me that. I was taught that as a kid. Remember when HW was running for president, my father was freaking the fuck out. Oh, we're going to have a spook in the White House. Over.
He was head of the CIA for, I think, 7 years, 7 or 8 years.
He was involved with the CIA when my father was Navy, I believe, back in the 50s. Still involved with the CIA when the old man went into the National Guard afterwards, when the hippies started going crazy in the 60s. So, long haul. And, man, I mean, you all know what the thing with Prescott Bush. And to take over the country.
Yeah, what are you referring to? Go ahead and unravel it. We got 15
Prescott, yeah, that was the damn name I was trying to remember. Thank you.
Prescott Bush led a coalition of people that tried to overthrow FDR. That's the thing. A lot of people don't realize the Bush family was Democrats up until that point. Republican when HW was involved with the CIA, and that's the thing. Jonesmen are all Democrats. People don't realize that. All Democrats. Shit out of Bohemian Grove. I don't understand why the fuck are we entertaining these people? Like seriously. Of cult tried to undermine this country and destroy our economy.
And they're downright fucking.
Why are we putting up with this?
What, you mean the Bushes?
Anybody.
That they've wrought since then. Think about this. I mean, now I actually had this talk earlier with Burnside. I don't consider W part of this. I consider W was like the schmuck son. For this, Jeb was. He kind of fell into the position that Jeb wanted.
Yeah.
Like, if you look on 9/11, when they whisper in his ear what happened, that man was pissed off. He wasn't in the loop for any of this shit. what it was Jeb was groomed to be the hood ornament, and W grabbed the brass ring before he could.
Right.
Broadsided when he was in there. I don't think like I said, I think that he was the mushroom son that they, you know, fed shit and kept in the dark. I don't dislike Bush the man. I say this to people all the time. I feel that he shouldn't have been president. Been better off, honestly, being something like he should have stuck to coaching his football team. Like Obama just nearly destroyed this country. Said, I don't think Obama is actually a bad person per se. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you really believe half of the crazy conspiracy shit that they've been saying that the man's a communist antichrist, then yeah, I mean, he's horrible. But if we get back to reality and ignore all the crazy shit that's been like flying around about Obama for the past 8 years,
I don't think he's
working in Chicago or
Antichrist or anything like that.
I'm sorry?
I don't think he's an Antichrist or anything like that, but I do think he's a Chicago machine politician with communist or socialist leanings.
Right, who's been brought up to look at the world in a certain specific way, and then that's the way he looks at things, man. And you know, and I think he's a genius at being able at oration and be able to politicize, you know, any topic you throw at him. You know,
I think he's well groomed. I've heard his oration skills. I mean, if we're talking about like
now, without a speech
anything within like I've watched him talk, circles and make it sound fantastic, but he doesn't say anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's really good at giving you the runaround. But that's what I'm saying. He's somebody that should have been a community organizer. Youth center. He should have been one of those dickheads out there with the megaphone running the protest instead of running the country. That's what Obama would have been good at. Just like I'm saying with Bush. Bush was born to be a football coach, not have gotten the White House. But I'm sorry. Holy shit, was that man the devil?
I missed something there, man.
I said that Bush should have got a football team, youth center, and Clinton should have got a bullet.
Good God. Man.
Clinton and his wife were evil people. Look at what they did to Arkansas.
That's the 90s. The 90s in a nutshell. There's some other version in the in the multiverse where that actually, you know, that's the situation, man.
Watching something the other day. I got involved with that multiverse shit. Someone was talking to me about it.
Did you ever watch Fringe? Did y'all ever see that?
I never got the chance. It looked good. Actor's name who plays the scientist.
Yeah. He's great.
I wanted to see it just because he was in it.
Yeah, well, man,
it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and it turns out there's two Earths, part of the multiverse. There's something that happens, and it causes a rift between the two Earths, and then there's like a Cold War between the two versions of Earth. It's excellent, man. It's some of the best sci-fi I've ever seen in my life. And I occasionally will watch the series again. That and The Wire. Those are the only two things I can do that with. So
I was never able to sit through The Wire. I never could sit through it.
You can make it through the second year, then you'll be, man, it's all downhill after that. It's fucking.
I wish they hadn't canceled Fringe.
Me either. But they did a good job wrapping it up, you know, given the.
But it figures it was on Fox.
Yeah. Well, anything from
Abrams, Fox is a habit of canceling a lot of shit.
A lot of sci-fi.
All the time. Anything that's doing really good, they cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But primarily,
I was annoyed when they canceled the Terminator.
Yeah. Oh,
anything that does really well, they cancel.
Sarah Connor Chronicles. Fucking the best one, man, was Alcatraz. That was a fucking excellent show, man. And boom, one season out. Bing. Yep. All the J.J.
Yeah,
Abrams.
Firefly was fucking
Firefly
great.
Was, of course, you know, that it was 1 year of just pure art. Real fun, just a great
Dark
series.
Angel, which actually debuted Jessica Alba.
Yep, 2 series, two seasons of that, and boom, out. Yep, they had.
Do any of you guys remember? This one's a bit more deeper into sci-fi. I think it was called Defiance.
Yeah, that was on Sci-Fi. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was 3 seasons and out. And they
Angel, is that the one that was about Batman's kid?
no. It's a futuristic thing where
She was a genetically altered child.
Yeah.
Cameron's show, I remember.
Her name was
That
Max Gravera.
She was given the genetics of a cat.
Right. Right.
So it was Birds of Prey was the one that was about Batman's kid.
Maybe. About Damien?
An alternate one. It was his daughter. It was, I think, him and Black Canary had a daughter or some shit.
Oh, wow. I'd love to see that.
Kinky.
Barbara.
Was him and Batgirl?
Yeah, the Damian Wayne is a great one because he and Talia al Ghul have a child. That's in just the regular Batman universe. And now Damian's the current Robin.
Drake is Robin Red, and Dick Grayson is Nightwing, and Jason Todd's the Red Hood.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason went dark. Kind of dug it.
I seen the Red Hood movie, the animated one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was an amazing cartoon movie. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie.
Forget when you go to get your laptop, get me my movie.
Oh, remember
Yeah,
Revolution?
I'll go see if they still got it there.
Did you ever see that, Tara? Revolution. It was three seasons where the power had all gone out from an
Yes,
EMP.
I love it, but I
That-
hated the fact that they canceled it and then did the last season in 3-section online comic books, and now I can't fucking find the comic
The
books.
comics are fucking. They're really good too. I'll find them for you. That'll be no problem at all.
See, I actually
I
enjoyed
watched
that one.
about, I think it was the
I love
first
that
season or a good chunk of the first season, and I just really didn't like it. It was a cool
It's
idea.
actually-
past the
it's-
first season.
It gets
It's
better.
actually based on books.
Oh, really?
Well, the thing that
Yeah,
that
it
I
was-
just didn't get, or the thing that just irked me, was that basically the whole thing was, okay, the power went out just because we wanted it to, and we have all these backdoor things.
Yeah.
So
But that's not what it is. There's a
That's
whole
not what it
reason.
is.
Yeah, exactly. They explain what actually happens.
It's explained in the second
there's a
season.
twist to it.
Yeah, there's a huge. Oh my God, there's like a gajillion twists. That's the whole thing about it. It was supposed to replace Lost, and I think
Yeah.
it could have.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly,
Well, shit, figures I turned out when it was going to get interesting.
exactly.
You have
Because
to
I
get
like the
past
whole
the first
basis and the
season.
setting.
What was that, Tara?
Saying he has to get past the first season.
Right.
The first season just does the setup. The season 2 and 3 tell the story.
Yeah, season 1 is kind of herky jerky, and the people are finding their characters, but by the end of the season, it's tight, right? And then it goes perfect in that second season, and that's the hook. That's what grabbed me. Was like, God damn, this is really good, you know. So yeah,
Okay.
it cranks it up.
All right, I'll have to go back and watch that then, because yeah, I liked how they how intuitive they were with muskets and what have you. I liked that whole setup because I was like, yeah, that's probably the most likely thing to happen.
Yeah, militias, right? Armed militias controlling
Yes.
the whole. Yeah, exactly. That was great, man. It's great stuff.
Yeah, that whole setup and the way they went about it, I was like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, the Monroe militia, the Monroe.
Yeah.
They were called the Monroe Republic at that point because they had gone and formed their own republic and shit. It was good shit. It's really good stuff. You know,
Or didn't know jack shit.
Yeah. Of course they canceled it. Of course, and
Yeah, I hate that shit
I do
when
too.
they fucking cancel shows and they just wrap it up real quick. I mean, they might wind up doing the same with Ash versus Evil Dead because they're not making as much bank as they had hoped on it.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I hope they don't. I actually loved that show, and I'm hoping we get a few more seasons.
I think Netflix will hold on to it. I think I mean, they're putting so much money into just pure shit. You know, they'll throw some shekels at this shit. You watch.
I would like it
going.
as much as I do hate Netflix. I'd like it if they would throw shekels towards Ash vs. Evil Dead and Stranger Things, and just keep them running.
Yep, those are two great.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's like we're right at the top of the hour. Do y'all want to go ahead and start the exit shill, and we'll go ahead and end this too early, like we're talking about these series, and leave the people wanting more.
Yep.
Right. Tomorrow night is going to be. Tomorrow night's going to be on Vetran Mountainman's channel. All right.
Yep. Yes.
So we may be talking about this and other things. So, speaking of, you want to go ahead and chill out, my bro? Veteran, start out.
Of course. Well, I'm the Vetran Mountainman. You can catch me on Gab, Twitter, YouTube, Minds, Maker Support, Coffee, and a whole bunch of other places. We'll be posting a new video tomorrow. I've got a very interesting topic out of California, and I'm not going to spoil the punchline. But trust me, it's something you're going to want to know about.
Cool.
And that's it.
All right. Tara?
You can find me on pretty much any social media. Wednesday, I will be hosting in place of Burnside because he still doesn't have his laptop back.
Fucking Best Buy.
As far as I know, need money for my sewing machine. I'm still $124 short.
Yep, and all her info is in the description, along with everybody else's social media info. So every way you need to get in touch with it. If anything's wrong, people, check it. And if I need to update something, please let me know. All right.
PayPal is still locked, but I keep nagging my roommate to check it.
All right. Scoob?
Hey, I'm Scooby331. You guys know the deal. You can follow me here on YouTube. I am on Minds.com, Gab AI, Patreon, and PayPal. And I am still suspended on Twitter because Jack is a punk.
Hashtag free Scooby331.
That's right.
Again. And might have a few things coming out right now since the Supreme Court and the left is going ape shit. I might cut a video about that tomorrow. I'm going to see exactly what I encountered throughout the course of the morning. Because if it's really that juicy, I might have a good video for you come the afternoon.
Cool. And Burnside?
If my Rom-Fi is not killing me.
Good.
Okay. I am the Burnside Film Project, or earlier known on Discord as Voice of Burnside. You can find me on YouTube, BitChute, Twitter, and GabAI. And I did talk to Old Man Rizzo yesterday. So between Wednesday and Friday, we will be getting Backline done. I was informed that apparently I forgot to upload, I think, Chronicle 4. It's a 3 week for me.
Robot. Damn it.
Gato.
Mr. Roboto.
No.
Better now?
Yeah.
Better.
Okay, anyways. So be getting Backline done. That'll be on YouTube and BitChute. Just type in Burnside in Pakistan or the Burnside Film Project. And that should come right up. I will also be continuing, as soon as I get my laptop back, to make more reckless flaggetry. You can find that on Redbubble, because that's turned out pretty good so far, thankfully, so I'm going to keep on working it. Just go into Redbubble and type in Burnside Film or Reckless Flaggetry, and you'll find many wares, and as soon as I get the computer up, I'll all ears for commissions.
Killer. All right.
And,
all right.
I think that's it.
All right. This is IRATE Prostate, and tomorrow night, I and my sidekick, the transdimensional shit-faced Alex Jones, may be visiting Red Pill Shark, so pop by there before you come here. And then Thursday, Big Fat Brian and I will be talking about some anime with your boy Pat, and it's Godzilla, Planet of Monsters. And then Cream Stream 45 Friday night. I've got my fingers crossed, but I can't announce who the guest is yet. And Saturday, of course, Drinks with Friends. And that is it, people. Another IRATE Monday down. This is episode, well, actually, this is Monday, the 9th of July, Part B. Since Part A kind of screwed up. So, but anyway, we got it all together and everything's good. And so another one's in the bucket. We'll see y'all next week and have a good time. Right? Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, motherfuckers.